All right, everyone. Well, it's that time of year again. Fall is upon us, pumpkin spices everywhere, and Apple released some new products. Let's talk about them. I'm gonna say, I'm a little disappointed in the new Series 8. They pulled a Series 5 and released the same watch with a few new features. I mean, they did come out with some cool notable ones that I'm gonna talk about, but kind of wish they would have done a little bit more. So some of the new features are like little key points that I want to talk about. Temperature sensor. That's actually really cool. They really came out with that for women's health and helping track ovulation patterns. I think that's really neat. I'm glad that they did that, and they came out with something that's really useful, especially for women, just because it's a neat feature that nothing else really has. So I'm glad they did it. Now, it's not like we haven't heard this before, but a very bold claim about crack resistant. So I just wish they would have done something like more crack resistant rather than crack resistant, because that is a huge claim. A lot of gray area there. So I don't know how that's going to play out. We just got to wait and see. There is a cool new feature called crash detection. What this does is if you are in a automobile crash, God forbid, but if you end up in a crash, it actually will automatically notify EMS. So you don't have to worry about pulling out your phone. You can check on everybody, make sure everybody else is okay. You don't have to worry about that at the moment. It'll do it for you. Another new one is the low power mode. So with low power mode, it's kind of like what the Galaxy Watch has had for quite a while, but once it gets to a certain percentage, don't exactly know, probably around like 20-25%, you can probably customize it, but it will kind of shut down a lot of non-important features or like limit some stuff, so you can actually get a longer battery life. So that's kind of cool. So if you're not at home or you're on vacation or something and you're not near a charger, you don't have to worry about it completely dying. You can just get your watch and maybe some messages or a phone call at a glance and still have a watch. There is a new really neat feature for family setup. You can actually set up a watch for a kid. So you don't have to worry about getting one of those cheap, janky watches. You can get a good quality watch for your kid. So if like you're at the park or you're doing something where they're not going to be completely near you, I mean, of course, still in your sight, but you can walkie-talkie to them, or you can set a time limit, or you can send a message to them saying, hey, time to come in, or they're out playing with their friends and they don't have a phone, so they have their watch with them. It's kind of cool. I really agree with that. That's a neat feature that they've finally added. And so there is a new feature that's actually going to be coming out later on, hopefully this year, but it's actually called international roaming. It's definitely for the adventurers out there. So, I mean, if you're always traveling or going to different countries, things like that, you don't have to worry about having your phone with you there too, because you can actually have international roaming. Pretty neat feature. Can't wait for it to come out and help all those adventurers out. As far as the prices go, though, they're all going to stay the same as the Series 7. So, if I'm not mistaken, starting off at $399 for the GPS and $499 for the cellular. Now, as far as the Watch Ultra, I'm going to be making a whole video by itself because there's a lot to cover there. So, make sure you get subscribed so you can catch that video when I put it out. So, we all know that I love me some good quality headphones, but I'm not the biggest fan of AirPods. So, I mean, now with the new AirPod Pro 2nd generation, though, there are some cool notable features that definitely worth mentioning. So like, for instance, a speaker built into the case. So if you accidentally misplace the case, you can set that off. And I think it's a 96 decibel speaker that will put out a high-pitched sound so you can at least find them and not lose them. I mean, like me, I tend to lose stuff quite a bit. So hopefully you're not like me, but if you are, they got you covered. One big thing that I stress whenever it comes to sound is everybody hears sound different. Not many companies have said this. Not many places have kind of talked about it. Apple actually did, and I'm proud of them for it, because it doesn't matter who it is. If you give somebody some of the best sounding headphones in the world, they may not like them. They may have a different sound profile than what they like. So, I mean, everybody's different. Apple is going to let you customize the sound to how you hear it. They are following in Sony's footsteps, because Sony has been doing this since, I think, the first generation of their WF and WH headphones. But I'm just glad that Apple is doing it, because it gives people more personalized sound. And I 100% agree with that. And so they did kind of bring over a feature from the regular AirPods. So the stem now actually has swipe controls, so you can control volume and different things that they might attach to that. So instead of just having to squeeze the stem, you actually have swipe features now, which I agree with. I like that. I liked it on the Galaxy Buds. I wish the Sonys had it, but I mean, I usually set my volume on my phone and leave it alone. But I'm glad Apple's doing something with that too. Now, this was a little bit of a vague statement coming from Apple. 2 times better noise cancellation. Now, I don't know exactly what they're comparing that to, but more than likely they're talking about last generation's AirPod Pros, because right now, Sony has the best noise cancellation, period. They are the industry leading. Everybody has to compete with them. Bose is close second, and then Apple. So I'm wondering if Apple's getting up there close to Bose and Sony. Just got to wait and see. Now, a really neat feature that come with the Buds and the case is IPX4 water and sweat resistant. Sweat resistant is a big thing because you can get a pair of headphones that are water resistant, but if you sweat in them, they may ruin faster because sweat is corrosive. It's acidic, so it can ruin components faster. So having that IPX4 rating with sweat resistance, big game changer for AirPods, because I always see people in the gym using them and they sweat in them and it ruins them. So I'm glad that they're finally putting that kind of stuff in their headphones and the case. Oh, and cool little thing that they did, you can actually get a custom engraving on the case. You can get an emoji, a phrase, numbers, whatever you want to get put on there, you can get a custom engraving. I think that's cool. If I'm not mistaken, if you pre-order, you actually get this custom engraving for free. I don't know if it's going to be an all-year thing, but it's kind of cool. Now, onto the phones. So this year, we lose the little guy. The iPhone mini is dead. It's gone, out the window. So it is getting replaced with the Plus. They are bringing back the Plus series. So as far as that goes, it's a little weird to go from extra small to extra large, but sometimes size does matter. So across all the 14s, as far as the features go, there are some that kind of span across all of them, and then some that are unique. So as far as across all of them, they are going to get the new crash detection, same as the watch. So even if you don't have the watch, you are going to be safe whenever it comes to that. So you have that peace of mind. You don't have to worry. I'm glad that they're doing it in the phones and not just the watch. So you don't have to buy the watch if you don't want to, because people hate watches. They can just have the phone and be safe. There is also a really cool feature called SOS Satellite. So if you're in the middle of nowhere or you have no reception, you can actually point your phone to the sky in a certain direction. It'll tell you where, and you can actually send a message. So if you do need help and you have no signal, now you can at least get a message out to get help. That is a huge peace of mind for a lot of adventurers. If you're always out there in the trails, you're always out there in the woods, or you're hiking or spelunking or something, and you come into some trouble, you at least have a way to get a word out. I 100% agree with that. Definitely a big game changer for that. Now, another really big, bold claim. Apple claims that this is the most durable front glass on any smartphone. That is a huge claim. Ready to see Jerry Rig everything tested. He's probably working on the video right now, but I'm just ready for it because that's very bold. There's a lot of phones out there, so I'm ready to see it. A new but old always on display is a new feature in some of the new iPhones. So as far as having your phone turned off, you can just have a glance and have your time, maybe a notification, some widgets, things like that. So I'm glad that they're finally putting an always on display built into the phone. Now, of course, it's going to drain battery life, so you may want to make sure you kind of balance that with other things that you're doing so you don't end up pulling more juice than needed. And a questionable design choice, I think we're heading more towards the portless phones than ever, just because I think this is kind of like their start, other than getting rid of the headphone jack. They got rid of the SIM tray. So as far as that goes, all eSIMs from here on out. Electronic SIMs are definitely, I guess, a way of the future, but right now, it's kind of like a jump into it. I don't think they ease their way into it. might cause some issues. And since I work at Geek Squad, it might be, it might cause a lot of issues for me whenever it comes to like people coming in having issues with cell signal. So hopefully they get this thing figured out quick and painless, I guess. But yeah, we just gotta wait and see. Now, the 14 Pros. Now, as far as the 14 Pros go, there are a few unique features to them. One of the biggest ones that they kind of talked about was their new dynamic island. So the dynamic island is, I mean, it's a fancy way to hide the punch hole. I mean, it's kind of cool because what's nice about it is it has like your music, your like notifications, calendar events, any type of media that's going on. It actually pops up there at the top and you can interact with it. Whereas like Samsung has like smart bubbles. So like say I get a text message, it'll pop up at the top and then a little bubble will pop there so I can tap it and interact with it whenever I need to. And I can kind of go back and forth. With the dynamic island, it's there over the punch hole. And whenever something happens, it kind of stretches out and shrinks back down, kind of moves and goes with the flow, as you would say. But I think that's kind of a neat feature. It's a really nice way for them to hide the punch hole and give you a way to interact with it. A new spec that kind of blew my mind was the brightness of the new screen. A 2000 peak nit brightness. That is ridiculous. That's brighter than most TVs. I mean, are you trying to make me go blind? Like, for real. But seriously, like in direct sunlight, sometimes it can be hard to read your screen, and having 2000 peak nit brightness in direct sunlight is awesome. I did see on there, they said 2 times brighter than the sun. I don't know how that is like measured, but it'd be kind of cool if it is. I don't want to look at it for too long. But yeah, 2000 peak nit brightness, direct sunlight, great new feature. I love it. Now, onto the cameras. So as far as the cameras go, so back around the 12 series is when Apple really started focusing on the cameras. So they came out with like their true depth sensor as far as like making sure everything was really in focus and you could get super close. They kind of carried that over, of course, into the 13s and now the 14s. But one of the biggest changes was the sensor. So they actually put a 48 megapixel sensor that is actually 65% larger than the 13 Pro. So you actually get a larger sensor, which is actually better than more pixels. I will always say that because it's true. Bigger sensor, way better than more pixels. But if you combine the two, you get amazing picture quality. So they combine the two, plus with, of course, their stabilization, and you get a really, really good combination of features and things that can actually help you. They did advertise this more towards like cinema and aspiring filmmakers. So I agree with that. Me being a content creator, that's a really neat feature that if you have the phone and you don't want to invest in a camera, you at least have the phone with the good quality camera. So that's really neat. The front camera now, though, also has really good autofocus. So you can get those really picture perfect selfies. Agreeable. I agree with it because me being a content creator on TikTok and creating YouTube shorts, having that good focus is definitely worth it. I agree with that big time. And especially with the new sensor and the more megapixels and the new processor that I'm going to talk about in here in a second, you actually get better computational photography. Computational photography is where the computer takes over after the image is shot. So you can actually now change a lot of the features after you take the shot rather than before. Like change the ISOs, change as far as like the bokeh effect or like the blurred background and the in focus foreground. So that's a really welcome feature that definitely a lot of cinematographers and filmmakers will agree with. Also, another big film feature or like cinema feature is 24 frames at 4K. And I know MKBHD is always going to love this. A lot of other content creators are going to love this as far as the 4K at 24 frames. So I'm behind it. I'm shooting at 60 right now, but I guess if you feel like it, shoot in 24 frames because it gives you that more cinema look and more professional. But to each their own. And last but not least, the A16 Bionic chip. So this was one of the biggest features because it's the bronze of the whole operation. It makes everything tick. So one of the cool things that actually impressed me is the new P and E cores. So they're actually following like Intel and AMD's footsteps to give you better performance. So you actually get performance cores for like all of your video and content creations. And then with the E-cores, if you're just browsing Facebook or you're paying some bills or just doing everyday things, the efficiency cores take over so you don't lose a beat. And now with the new 5-core GPU, way better gaming performance. So they can take advantage of those P cores, pull some performance over, and give you better frames in games, better graphics in games. So I agree with that. I'm not a big phone gamer or like actual mobile gamer, but yeah, I mean, if you are, definitely let me know. Let me know what you're playing right now, and if you're a mobile gamer, definitely want to hear about it. And of course, the new processor also helps you get more battery. We always want some more battery. So with the Pro Max, you actually get 29 hours of battery, and on the Pro, you get 23 hours of battery. Definitely a nice welcome feature. So I always agree with that. So in conclusion, did Apple actually innovate this year? I'll say yeah, definitely. So I mean, they came out with their crash detection, their temperature sensor, and the SOS satellite feature. So definitely some really good innovations in Apple's corner. So Samsung, your move. But yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that this was a pretty decent launch whenever it comes to features. Now, as far as like the regular 14 and 14 Plus, kind of a letdown. Not the biggest fan of literally just repackaging the 13. But with the 14 Pro and the Pro Max, definitely some good innovation there. Glad they did it. But yeah, let me know if you plan on getting the 14s, any of them, or the new watches. I kind of want to hear about it, and once you do, just come back, comment on this video, let me know what you think. I'm interested in hearing about it. But yeah, until next time though, love y'all. Stay blessed.